Welcome to day 2 of our workshop. This morning we're going to continue with our country presentations, and I'll turn this over to Ben here in just a second, but we'll work through the remaining countries between now and 12 noon, and then we'll have a panel discussion of some of us up here in the front, what we've heard today. Lunch once again, and the coffee breaks downstairs as before. After lunch, we will shift gears somewhat and spend the first couple of hours after lunch talking about procurements, the new LTAs, or at least one reworked LTA that's already in place, and then some new ones that we're trying to get into place. And then we'll end the afternoon with the clinics. And if you have not signed up for a clinic and want to do so, no pressure, please see Annalise, and she'll get you on the schedule. Also, I think our marketing friends over here are set up to talk to a number of you, and if you haven't talked with them and want to do so before we go home, please see them and get yourself on their schedule. And any questions this morning? Any commentary? Okay, hearing none. We'll turn this back over to Ben and continue where we left off yesterday afternoon. And I believe the first country that's up is Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone it is.
So this is an outline. Bonnie, I hope I did justice. Where we were, where are we, working against the odds, linkages with other initiatives, challenges, required support from CIRDA, and our future plans.
Beautiful.
Basically, this is the structure of how the hydromet, the meteorological and the agromet structure is in Sierra Leone. We have the president here, and just by the side we have what is known as the Office of the President and Office of the Chief of Staff, under which we have the EPA, the Environment Protection Agency, under which we have the National Secretariat for Climate Change. And then just across we have the Office of National Security, and the Disaster Management Department is located on the Office of National Security. And then we have the Ministry of Water, that takes care of hydromet service, the Ministry of Transport and Aviation, the Met and the Climatological Services, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, under which we have the agromet service. Where we are, basically this is the baseline for the project. And unfortunately for us, we just had a civil war, after which we have the Ebola. But during the civil war, almost all the synoptic and all the stations were all destroyed. So basically we're starting from zero. Where are we? We have the first case of Ebola in May 2014. A public emergency was declared in July, and there was a ban on all public gatherings and restricted movements across the country. Unfortunately for us, we just had the restrictions lifted about 3 weeks back, and so we haven't had any new case of Ebola, and we officially started the countdown on the 24th, so we're starting again. But we're working against the odds. With a team staff and four men stationed across the country, the Met Service have been able to provide basic information to the aviation industry and the data, because they're constructing a new airport. We have been able to provide services to agriculture, to marine, hydrology, tourism, media, the public sector. And because of the war, some of the sites have been taken over by squatters. So a pre-installation assessment of all the proposed sites have been done. And where squatters are, they've been asked to vacate, and where it's not possible to install sites, alternative sites have been allocated by the authorities. Almost all the TOHAGs have been completed. The digitization of data dating back as 1893 or beyond have all been digitized. We've done some training on calibration of automatic weather stations and how we can use local materials for repairs. In fact, we've been in touch with some local manufacturing companies to see how best they can manufacture some of the rainfall stations. And of course, because of the disaster management component, we've done the training for the district disaster management committees, and the national platform has become operationalized. And of course, we're providing some amount of TV weather for the public. Of course, the Met is in the process of being transformed into an agency. The strategy has been developed, it's pending cabinet approval. 6 forecasters are presently in training in Lagos and Nairobi. We have 2 that will start the MSc and in reading. However, because of the shortage of staff, the Human Resource Management Office and the Public Service Commission have approved the appointment of 25 observer and 5 PP meteorologists. And we're also in discussion with the USLS University of Sierra Leone on the introduction of meteorology in the curriculum. It's pending Senate approval. Linkages with other initiatives. Of course, we have the Amstead, the Euromet that have been done. It's what we do, even before we have a program with the UKMO, we do the base stations in 2, in the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Tourism, so should, in case one should suddenly decides to go back, there's always a backup. And of course, we have an IFAD project that is also helping with the installation of weather stations. Of course, the challenges, Ebola is on top because we had to stop all the programs, everything has to be on hold. And for the government, it's low retention of staff, even with the UNDP anyway, because staff are always looking for greener pastures. And in country, we have limited public partners, private partnership opportunities, and of course, we have limited technical capacities. That's why we have to start working with the universities so that we can train personnel. And then, of course, there's weak coordination among the ministries, departments, and agencies. Of course, I guess Sierra Leone is not unique. What we need from CIRDA is to have a PPP strategy that will go beyond the project timeframe, because we're thinking about the Met becoming an agency, so we're thinking about financial strategy. Of course, the development of a human technical capacity plan, more South-South exchanges, especially on best practice, countries that have succeeded, how best we can adapt the situation to the Sierra Leone context, and procurement and technical support. The way forward, proper implementation of the project, and the transformation of the Met to become a reliable service provider. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mariatu. I think we're all aware of the challenges that have taken place in the country, and to have achieved this much in spite of all that, I think is already great. Just the spirit I'm so happy to see. John has something to say.
No, I have a question for her. I think along with a number of other countries, you mentioned you're transitioning to an agency. In the case of Sierra Leone, exactly what does that mean? What do you lose and what do you gain by becoming an agency?
One of the challenges that I highlight was the low retention of staff, because for us, the government pay staff like $100 per month. So if they become an agency because they're providing services free of charge, they'll be able to raise one on its own. They'll be kind of more or less autonomous. They can be able, without going through the Public Service Commission, to undertake some of the work on its own. So it's basically being more reliable, not relying on the central government for each and every step of the way, becoming more autonomous and becoming a reliable partner to the public.
Any questions for Sierra Leone?
So is the provision of TV weather supported by advertisement in your country or in other countries? No advertising dollars goes.
Free of charge, everything is going to be free of charge.
Anybody else? Thank you, Mariatu. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Yes, my name is Alfei Daniel, and I'm just going to provide the progress we have made for the project. But at this workshop, we are 2. Myself and we have the Abbas who is representing the UNDP Tanzania. So My presentation is going to cover these 6 areas. I'm going to remind you about the project background, objective, and target. There we talk about the key agents, organization chart, key agents and the level of contribution, social or economic impact, then the future plans and any other relevant information. Yeah, just to remind ourselves that this is a strengthening climate information system project. The objective is to strengthen the weather, climate and hydrological modeling capability, early warning system and the information for the response to extreme weather and the planning and adaptation to climate change in Tanzania. And this, in order to know that we are going to achieve that objective, the impact that we are going to measure to see, to lay the level of capacity of the agencies who are involved in monitoring, assessing, and disseminating hydroclimate information for early warning in the long term. So in achieving this objective, actually we have just divided the project intervention into 2 components. The first one was the transfer of technology for weather, climate, and hydrological and the environment and monitoring infrastructure. This basically is aiming on enhancing the capacity of the Tanzanian meteorological agents and the water basin to monitor and forecast drought and the floods. This project is focusing on drought and the floods. And our second component is climate information integrated into development plans and the early warning. Warning system, this is we're going to measure by looking, we are going to have efficient and effective use of hydrometeorological information for making early warning and the long-term development plans. Now, we have the key departments who are being involved in this project. This project is implemented under the national implementing modality, where we have the executing agents, which is the Vice President Office, Department of Environment, and the project implemented the Prime Minister's Office through the Disaster Management Department. Also, we have the responsible partners. These are the partners who are involved in the implementation of this project. Tanzania Meteorological Agency is involved, Ministry of Water, Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and the Cooperative, Pangani Basin Water Board, Luvuma, and the Southern Basin Water Board. All these responsible partners also form or are the member of the project steering committee. Priority zone. Supporting climate water network coverage in the country. This is being done throughout the country. And we have the priority districts, which is Almel in the northern part of Tanzania and Liwale, this is in the southern part of Tanzania. All these have the historical background of being vulnerable to drought and the flood. Now, when you see to the organizational chart, this project is based at the Prime Minister's Office. The Prime Minister's Office is in charge of all the government activities in the country. And the Tanzania Meteorological Agency is following under the Ministry of Transport, where the Director General is reporting to the Ministry of Transport, but they are all reporting to the Prime Minister's Office. Now you can see the high level of this project. They get the power to enforce intervention to be implemented throughout the country. Now let me briefly talk about the law of the Vice President Office, Department of Environment. This department is assumed the executive law of the project, to play an active law in the project, and also it is the co-chair of the project steering committee. It advises the project on the climate-related issues. It provides advice on the post-coordination issues related to climate change. It reminds that this is a project, and we note that all the good lessons should be used in ministering to the national policies, framework, and plans. It also is the leading agents of the national plan for adaptations, and also it is the participating institution on the development of long-term finance strategy for the hydroclimate monitoring network. And this work is, the department is working under the guidance of the Environment Act of 2004. Then quickly, also I'm going to talk about the law of the Prime Minister's Office, which is the hosting institution of this project. This is the implementing partner of this project, and also it is the chairman of the project steering committee, coordinate project activity with all other stakeholders, and also the department also is involved on all disaster management response issues in the country, including disaster relief, operation, and preparedness measures, and also receive initial notifications from multiple sources. So for the climate-based weather warning, this is coming from the Tanzania Meteorological Agency. Now, Now let me talk about the contribution of Dani, progress made by the project to strengthen the disaster management. And this is, we have completed the study on assessing efficiency of available expected and the operating procedure for issuing early warning. This study was very important because it highlights the basic information which is going to be support us in reviewing the Tanzania Emergency and Preparedness Plan. The review will include to have a set of standard procedure for managing floods and the drought that elect each partner law and the responsibility, the type of early warning messages, about response resources and the communication pathway to reach communities. And also, based on this study, now we have initiated the exercise of developing standard operating procedure for drought and the floods in consultation with all partners at national and the local level, including NGO and the media. Also, in this one of the bottlenecks of the department was lacking an emergency operations center. So with the support of the project, we have just completed the feasibility study for the setup of the 24 emergency operations center. After this study, I highlight the emergency operations center management function and the structure requirement, staffing requirement, budget, list of communication equipment and estimate budget, of course the criteria for site selection, capacity development, then also engagement with the private sector to long sustain with the center, and also modality for long-term opportunities. And also it will come of the list of agencies also to include their law and the possible energies to make this the emergency center functional. This will be a central command and a control facility responsible for carrying out the principle of emergency preparedness and emergency management. And also we have also established one early warning estimation center and adoption planning in the two project districts. We have done a series of consultation meetings to ensure that we understand the importance of early warning and advisory. We have mobilized DC disaster management committees, committee-based organization to participate in this simulation exercise. And also we have managed to train 453 community representatives from the two pilot districts. The two actually was focusing on the application of climate information in overcoming floods, and also we try also to downscale the climate products which can be used by the local levels, that to have their plans which take care possession of the climate information. Then let me talk about the Tanzania meteorologists. This is our core element of this project. This is one of the partners and the beneficiaries of this project. This department is fall under the Ministry of Transport, as I've said, and the director is reporting to the private sector of the Ministry of Transport, which also is reporting to the Prime Minister's office. This agency was established by the Tanzania Meteorology Act of 1997. Before it was used, it was worked as a department, and then now it has been mandated to provide meteorological services to the general public, institutional and individual users for maintaining safety and security of people and their properties. So under this, actually the agency is involved in the provision of meteorological services for international air and navigations. The mission the efficient network of surface and upper air stations necessary to capture accurate records of the weather and the climate conditions, observe, collect, achieve, and exhibit meteorological and related information, and also provide the weather, climate services and the warning for the safety of life and property to the general public and to various users, including aviation, marine, agriculture, water resources, disaster management, construction, industry, research institution. Also, to work with the Ministry of Agriculture to provide overall focus of water and food security in the country, and also they publish weather and climatological summaries, protein and other interpretation products, collective fee and the charge for the other products and the services. So under this, when you see the technology and the equipment deployed in delivering water services, the agency has a number of type of equipment. You can just see they are using conventional surface synoptic stations, air-based surface synoptic stations, agrometeorological station, ordinary climate station, landfall stations, automatic levels, then marine weather, upper air station point, weather ladder, lighting, and the open satellites. Then you can see in that first column is what the current equipment which you have. The second column it highlights the one which are operating, then the needed and the shortage. Then let me talk about the contribution to this project to Tanzania meteorologists. We have procured 16 automatic weather stations, and that map it indicates this station will are being installed starting from the north onward to the south part. And also we procured 2 laptops for calculation of new AWS and 2 additional servers for data storage and transmissions. The installation we're expecting to complete the installation by the end of September. And also in order to ensure that we build the capacity of the TMA, the project made to train 8 special specialists on the calculations, repairing, maintaining, and operating of the new separate automatic weather stations. We have also initiated the process of developing an integrated database to accommodate climate and hydrological data, and also by TMA. We are also made to do mapping. We have just mapping of the weather station in Tanzania, just to know which one are working, what kind of support do we need. This also will support us in making the decisions. And also we have just facilitated a institution owning weather station in the country, just to share the country data with the TMA to improve the weather forecast. We are now finalizing the country strategy for harmonization of collecting of observation data based on the WMO standard. And also we are supporting the data rescuing, details, and achieving relevant available historical data from all ministries relevant to the 2 project pilot districts. This is what we have done in the TMA. Yeah, and the social, the sector development made by the TMA. Actually, they provide daily weather forecasts, advisory and warning, 10-day, monthly, and season outlook, and climate change and projections. These services are contributing to the efficiency of operation of various sectors, to agriculture and food security, health sector, transport, energy sector, water resources. That is, that photo shows how these information are being distributed to the public. Also, they provide grant observation, short-term prediction and long-term predictions. Also, they provide climate forecast and predictions, short and seasonal long-term weather forecast, which are useful for early warning and planning at a different time scales. Yeah, the users of climate services and how to generate revenues. TMA, as I've said, that this is an agency, and the reason of forming this agency was just to reduce the government budget, and also they are supposed to generate their own income to support their operational. So for the moment, these are the users of the climate information or the other services or the other product for TMA. We have the Tanzania Port Authority, the Tanzania Aviation Industry, Marine Services, agriculture sector, media houses, construction companies, health sector, water resources, Tanzania Forest Board, researchers, research institutions or universities, mobile companies, farmers, disaster management department, etc. Mind you that only early warning message is free. So this they have to pay. It's not like it is a kind of a mostly covered. So TMA also is getting some money to support its operation based on this. Now let me talk about the use of water. This is responsible for hydrological safety in the country.
5 minutes up.
Yes, I'm going to finish. Yeah, it's managed in the country. Yeah, and managed 9 basin authorities, including the Pangani and the Mo Basin, where the districts are located. Yeah, Mr. Water also working in cooperation with other institutions, early warning related to flood, forecast and early warning. Also working with the water basin authorities to deliver activities related to floods, forecast and early warning. Provide hydrology services. Provide hydrology services in the country, water sovereignty and delivery non-monthly. Under this, the project has done the following. We have procured 10 hydrological stations. This is good all the sets involved responsible to make the hydrological stations. 50 river gates, 20 gates, and all these have been installed. And we have now started to use them. They have been installed in Pangani and the river basins. We have trained 14 hydrology technicians from the two basins where the two projects are located. Just to, we are trained on the calibration, maintenance, and the solution of this new supplied equipment. And also we are supporting data rescuing. Is there and achieving the relevant available data from all missions relevant to the 2.0 analysis. So you see this is one of the map of the basin, indicate where this equipment was installed, and this is one of the equipment which have been installed. And the national level, we have the support from the government. This is the national regional initiative ongoing. We have the support from the government to maintain the extension coverage of government network. We have the support from the World Bank, Southern Africa Development Community Initiative for strengthening adult services, then East African Initiative on letting the techniques around the Lake Victoria. Also, UK Met Office is supporting on data management, and also we have support from WMO. Then on the, let's go to the future plans. We are going to procure 20 automatic weather stations to continue expanding the surface observation stations. Procurement of server for additional data storage. We are going also to procure for hydrological equipment. This equipment we plan to procure in phase 2, phase 1 and phase 2. Then also we are going also to see we're going to support acquiring flash forecast software tools and the methodologies. Then also strengthening the management of meteorological instrument and equipment and establishment of calibrations. Then also we need also to strengthen and enhancing data rescue activities. And also we are going also to support on data processing system acquisition of modern computing facilities and equipment for processing achieving. And also we need to introduce system to digitize new observations. And also we will support adoption of different technology to improve data quality and improve the weather services. Then they commercialize the product and sell through engagement with the public partnership for cost recovery. And also improve data simulation analysis and integration into product and services. We are going to support establishing of an emergency operation center that will coordinate early warning emission disaster response activity for the country. And also, we are looking forward to strengthen public weather services delivery, including those for early warning. And last one, we're going to develop set of center point procedure for managing flood and the drought. This is my final slide. So my final thought, which I think that we need to discuss, the inadequate observing network system, poor communication facilities for data collection and extending due to inadequate funding. As you see in this map, the yellow dot indicate that we need, these are the proposed new stations. So there's we need a lot of funding to show that we have all the coverage of network in Tanzania. Then the meeting sequence expectation. For example, users with their forecast expect TMA to issue localized time-specific area forecasts, unlike the present forecast which now cover large areas. So we need to think how are we going to provide the localized information. Then also we are looking for support assisting the developing the clear codes on agreement with the mobile providers on the use of frequencies, airtime, and the airwaves for early warning system. And the long term also we need to think about the long-term financing of the current monitoring system through cost recovery. So these are the issues which I think we need to discuss, and we are looking forward for the CIRDA to support in Tanzania to ensure that we achieve the anticipated result after 4 years of this of the policy implementation. Then thank you.
Thank you, Alfei. So Tanzania is one of these countries that keep quiet. You don't hear much about them. You don't get so many emails, and then they come and make a presentation and they've done giant leaps forward. So, well done. And any questions for Tanzania?
Thank you. Thank you for this very rich presentation. I have two questions. Firstly, one of the activities you have mentioned about downscaling the data at local level. What kind of data that you have used, and who are the targeted participants at this activity, and what was the product that was being used at this workshop, and how was feedback, and then how it's going to be used in the future at the local, process of local planning. And my second question, that the actual revenue that is generated from the different climate service, is it already enough to cover the cost of the maintenance, or how far is it, or what's the business plan?
Yeah, thank you. I'll start with the second question. Yeah, I've said that actually the reasons of forming the Tanzanian meteorologists were just to reduce the burden. So they are requested by the government just to look for other sources of funding. So what now them is doing, this organization, they are paying, but not much. It is a cost recovered because you can't just pay, you can't manage to buy the data. So it is cost recovered. And what they are doing now, that they have just enter into agreement with all the users, and also try to cover some of the costs, because you can't get that for free, and that was the debate of our, because we were just trying to harmonize, because in Tanzania there are some institutions which are also owning the other stations, and they were just trying to look that if TMA will be able to utilize all the available data so that they can improve their weather forecast. Yeah, so and that is now to come that we need the entry point for the market study. This study is going also to give us, or to give the TMA the entry point on how they can utilize their services in ensuring that they are getting good revenue to support their operation. On the issue of downscaling, as I've said that this project, we are putting in the two districts. These are the two districts which we are going to use them as an example, and the lesson here which is going to be generated will be replicated to other districts. So under these districts, we have agreed with all the institutions which are involved in the maintenance and eco services. Here I'm talking about the Ministry of Water and the Tanzania Meteorologists, that we need to ensure that the end users, who are the farmers, who are most vulnerable, will be able to get the climate information and use them in their daily activities. So what we have done now, because before going there, we train them that if we say that what is climate information, so they need to understand what the climate information is and what the climate information product they are looking for. And what are the company products they will be interested in terms of supporting their livelihood. So here we are talking about the weather update. Yeah, then in the weather update, then working with the Ministry of Agriculture, they will come with the farmer advisory, so that they get the complete set which can support in their activities.
You mentioned a special program going on around Lake Victoria with the East African community. Can you say a bit more about that? And in particular, how's the coordination between the various countries involved carried out?
Yeah, this is the project here which is being funded by the ETH network, but is being implemented under the East African initiatives. It is trying to test the lightning detection and techniques. So it's working around the Lake Victoria, but in the future we are looking for that maybe it can be upscaled to cover the Tanzania. As you know that Tanzania has a history of being affected by the floods. And also in March somewhere we had a very disaster based on the lightning. And so that we saw that this project also can be one of example to be upscaled of Tanzania. There how it works is with the data from the three countries. Yeah, I mean the Kenya, all the countries here which have been surrounded by the Lake Victoria, and it is under the support. It is being supported by the ETH network.
Thanks very much. Mine is not a question for that. Tanzania, but specifically, I just wanted to appreciate, especially to see that if there are any way forward or any thoughts with regards to early warning information sharing, especially the cross-border early warning information sharing, because like in Malawi, the northern Malawi, most of the impacts that, especially the floods that we do receive, are from Tanzania. So I just wanted to appreciate if there is that kind of thoughts or kind of plan whereby maybe at policy level there is that kind of initiative.
So the issue of cross-border sharing of information, I think somebody was saying, was it you, John, yesterday, that there's already actually an agreement between these countries. It's just not being enforced or being implemented. But I think there's already a political agreement between Tanzania, Malawi, and some other countries around Lake Victoria to share information. Correct? Can we go to the next? Otherwise, we're going to spend too much time on this. Bonnie, yes?
It was not a question.
Thank you, Alfei. I should have the answer myself, but I'm a little jet lagged and I don't remember the figure, so I need your help. I remember the last time I came to beautiful Tanzania, I visited the Met Office, and there was a presentation in which there was an assessment on an estimate of how much would be the cost of covering the entire national territory with automated weather stations. Do you remember how much was this cost? How much was the financial gap between what we have and what we should have to cover the national territory?
Yes, I have it in the report. I have the 5-year strategic plan. Yeah, then I just try to put in my report. We have the 5-year plan.
So he's got it, but he doesn't have it.
You don't remember like me, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanzania. Thank you, Alfei. In between, we have a new colleague that's sitting at the back over there. Laurent is from Sao Tomé. Thanks for making it despite the challenges of flying. If you don't mind, we're going to carry on and give you a little bit of time to settle down, and you can do yours a little later, yeah? Sure? Okay, Uganda? Pascal, you want to come and...
Yes, okay. Welcome to Uganda. Yeah, thank you. Our presentation is going to specifically focus on an introduction to the Skills project in Uganda, the organizational setup, the roles of the key partners, and the progress to date, opportunities and challenges, and the future plans for CIRDA, and conclusion. This is our team. We have Khalid there, who is the director of forecasting in UNMA. We have Mr. Onesmus Moezi, the team leader for energy and environment in UNDP country office, and myself, the project manager, and we have our finance and admin associate, Jennifer. Of course, we all know that this project aims at strengthening the weather, climate, hydrological monitoring capabilities, and early warning systems, and the available information for responding to extreme weather and planning adaptation to climate change in Uganda. And I needed to bring to our attention the changing landscape. Of course, we are soon going into the Sustainable Development Goals, moving away from the Millennium Development Goals. At the national level, we have the new National Development Plan that we're going into, and the new CPD at the UNDP country office level. This is how the project is structured. It is being implemented by the Ministry of Water and Environment, and we have the senior beneficiaries. Of course, it's the Ministry of Water and Environment, specifically the Uganda National Meteorology Authority and the Directorate of Water Resources Management. Then we have the Office of the Prime Minister, specifically the Department of Disaster Preparedness and Management, and then we have Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, and UNDP, of course, is the senior supplier, and also it has a role in project assurance. We have a lean project management unit comprising the project manager, finance and admin associate, procurement associate, and 2 drivers. And so in terms of the consortium of beneficiaries, we have the UNMA, Directorate of Water Resources Management, Office of the Prime Minister, Agriculture, district local government, especially in the 28 pilot project districts. We have the Uganda Communications Commission, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, civil society, and the private sector. Now, each of these partners have specific roles. UNDP for quality assurance. UNMA is the lead implementing agency with a contribution in weather forecasting, aviation briefing, among its key contributions. The Directorate of Water Resources Management for water level monitoring and catchment-based water resources management. Then the Office of the Prime Minister, there is the NECOC, which is the National Emergency Coordination Center, and is responsible for dissemination of early warning countrywide, especially on disaster management. The Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries plays a key role in extensions and outreach services. As you know, our country is mainly agricultural. The Ministry of Local Government has a subnational linkage, particularly through the disaster management committees, which are at the district and sub-district levels. And then the Uganda Communications Commission has a critical role in oversight and coordination of the telecommunication service providers. And the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development is the focal point for the JEF projects in Uganda. This is the project to date. From the project document, of course, we have 2 outcome areas. The first one is on enhancing the capacity of UNMA and the Directorate of Water Resources Management in more monitoring and forecasting extreme weather and hydrology and climate change. So under the first output on the automatic water level stations and repairs of the water level stations, already procurement is being done via UNDP country office. We are at the evaluation stage. We're also procuring the automatic message switching system. Is also at evaluation stage. This is also being procured through the UNDP country office. Output 2 on the new automatic weather stations and the repairs of 32 weather stations up to date. We are targeting at 30 automatic weather stations. There has been a mission, and we kind of finalized consultation with the UNMA with regard to their expectations. So this is being handled through the long-term agreement. I'm happy the PSO team is here. We'll elaborate on that. The civil works component, which is repairs of the weather stations, is being done through the national contracting system, and we are at the evaluation stage. Output 1.3 for weather and climate forecasting facilities. So far we have procured up to 270 new thermometers, which are being distributed throughout the country to replace the old ones. And we have restocked upper air balloons and radiosondes, enough to last 1 year, and we have placed the reorder. This service had not been in place for the past 1 year. So through this project, it has been reactivated. Then output 1.4, capacity developed for operating and maintaining observation networks. We are accessing technical assistance from the Kenya Meteorological Services on an ongoing basis. Then we have already develop a protocol and memorandum of understanding for the Ugandan National Meteorology Authority and the Directorate of Water Resources Management on their data sharing. I think we are soon going to get a consultancy to develop the protocol for all sharing of this data with other MDAs. Outcome 2, efficient and effective use of hydrometeorological and environmental information for making early warning and long-term development plans. Output 2.1, technical capacity of UNMA and Directorate of Water Resources strengthened. We are doing it in a phased way, and we don't want it to be so much of a classroom-based stuff. So what we are doing, we are getting particular staff, we place them in KMS, Kenya Meteorological Services, for a short period to get practical on-the-job skills training. So we are hoping that we will be able to scale up to next year. About tailored weather and climate information, we are currently, actually the training is ending end of this month. Hazards and vulnerability mapping specialists, 2 from each of the agencies, and we are hoping this will become like trained trainers who can roll up the skills within their agencies. Then output 2.3, weather and climate information mainstreamed into policies and plans. We have already formed the sub-national early warning committees, and we are doing all this in preparation for the real scale-up of the project outcomes downstream, which will be more visible next year. We have also developed the M&E framework for tracking the progress of investment through this project. 2.4, on communications channels and procedures, we have already, through this project, produced a communication strategy for the UNMA. And then 2.5, sustainable financing options. We have already the input on cost benefit and marketing strategies for UNMA. It is a resource that UNMA is now able to use. This year in March, Uganda, we hosted the Public-Private Partnership Conference, where most of you attended. The Minister of Water and Environment, Professor Ephraim Kamuntu, together with the Bonnie. Is that somebody? Yeah, I'm trying to catch your attention. Yeah.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, yes, please. Yeah, and then the picture on the right side, we have the Minister of Water and Environment launching the upper air sounding services through this project. It brought good visibility to this project. In terms of contribution to key events that have tried to bring visibility, particularly to UNMA and also to this project, we already had the public-private sector, partnership conference in March. We also participated in the World Meteorological Day in March and World Water Day in March. Actually, in Uganda, we combined it, and there was a good display of the CIRDA skills input. There was a week-long agricultural show where we supported UNMA to demonstrate its outputs. And then also, because of the rather low visibility of UNMA, we supporting UNMA to really start linking up with the stakeholders. There was a workshop in May this year, and we have been participating in the International Day for Disaster Reduction. In terms of opportunities, there is a good political support for meteorological services. Early this year, to confirm, grapevine. I think the government has come to learn through the resources, especially the cost-benefit study, the value of UNMA service, and it is possible the government may fund a radar, a weather radar for the country. Then there is the UNMA Act, which gives a legal basis for the operations of meteorological services in the country and ensuring quality control. Also, there is the UNMA new management. There are new directors, and then they're expecting a substantive executive director. So we are hoping that there will be a new approach to doing business. It will not be just business as usual, the traditional government way. The assessment report, or MDA report, which is on modernization of the UNMA, and the cost, benefit, and market reports give very varied options for improving income generation. And we are also expecting to have increased budget through the government boards and partnering with telecommunications companies and other private sector providers. In terms of challenges at the operational level, the transition from the Department of Meteorology to the UNMA affected the national implementation modality. As a result, most of the services and products are being sourced through the UNDP under a bilateral arrangement, which is formal. And then, well, there has been a delayed procurement in some of the key inputs. As a result, up to now, our delivery as a project is at 24%, but we are hoping that once the automatic weather stations and the automatic water level stations have been procured and installed, we will shoot up. So we all need to work very hard, especially next quarter. At the programmatic level, the challenge of balancing the status quo and the need for innovation in technology is evident. We had a very long consultation with the UNMA when those of Alan, Jeremy, and George were in Uganda last week. But we clarifying on the expectations. And then there is demand for high quality and reliable weather data. That is a critical thing. And that is what we really need to work on so that the services of UNMA is appreciated. Of course, I had already mentioned about the poor visibility of UNMA, especially bearing on, what it brought from its old form, Directorate of Meteorology. In terms of social and economic impact, it's a bit nominal at the moment. We are hoping that it will improve next year. But the sectors that we're serving are the aviation, agriculture, water resources, disaster management. These are getting their data directly from UNMA. And the mode of communication is through radio, TV. Already from 4 or 5 months ago, has started broadcasting weather information on a daily basis. And there is a website, courtesy of GIZ USAID, as a project which is co-funding UNMA. Now you can access it. I should have put the website there. And then also cell phones. And generally, there is a growing interest in the value of meteorological products among the population, especially in areas that are disaster and hazards prone. I single out here the sugar corporations and plantations, Kinyala, Kakira. These are partners we have visited, and they have very good weather stations, and they have been participating in UNMA's stakeholders workshops. And then we have the NECOC which receives data. There is close collaboration between the Office of the Prime Minister and UNMA in sharing weather data. There is the Ministry of Agriculture and civil society organizations. Now, future plans, we are hoping to integrate the skills outcomes within the country project, program document of the UNDP, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the frameworks that we're going into. Then we hope to strengthen the district structures for utilizing meteorological products, especially following inputs from the skills project. Then we also plan to link all weather stations to the national meteorological centers. We are procuring the automatic message switching system so that private and public weather generating points are connected to the national meteorological centers. And then the target, according to UNMA, is to have at least 200 automatic weather stations in the country in the next few years. This project is going to contribute about maybe 20% of that target. So we'll be looking at low price options of and improving data quality and services. We were on a mission in the Philippines 2 weeks ago, and there are very cost-effective automatic weather stations estimated at about $5,000 per station. We are hoping that if we have some critical mass of monies, we could have that for Uganda. And then we're going to focus on developing applications that is critical in the coming year in terms of contents and packaging weather products for commercial use and also for the general public. Finally, is mounting automatic weather stations on floods an option? It's a food for thought. We saw it in the Philippines, and it's working well. It takes care of the concerns for security, power, and communications. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Uganda? I think this presentation was quite inspiring. Anybody? Bonnie.
Unless there is a section, John, I'm not sure, John Snow, sorry, I wanted to ask, unless there is a section dedicated to the Philippines report in the agenda, not that I recall, right?
Not at this meeting. We're going to do a special session in Lusaka.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit, a little bit more in a nutshell. What was your experience in the Philippines?
Can we take 5 minutes now, guys?
Would you mind?
Just
few minutes,
share.
3 minutes?
He went to the Philippines and saw some interesting things. The Philippines are always struck by huge weather problems. So can we take 5 minutes? You just, give us a quick.
Would you like me to browse through my VTOR?
No.
Yes, Alfei.
From your head,
right.
Tell us what you brought back, the main message, the main learnings.
Yes,
what was the most interesting?
Yeah. Thank you very much. We visited, okay, let me call on the team that went. Sebastian, stand up. Alfei.
Oh, great. It was a multi-country team.
Yes, it was a multi-country.
Please come. Let's give notice to everybody to share their thoughts. I think this is useful, no?
That's okay. The other two are technical staff from Uganda. They did not come in. So the three of us on the skills project went to the Philippines for a 1 week visit. It was 5 working days, quite intensive. And the focal agency that hosted us was the Matthew Group and the Weather Philippines Foundation. Now, the purpose of our visit was to have an experience of a private sector initiative in generating weather data for commercial purpose. Most of you will bear with us. If you talked of selling weather data in our countries, people will look at you and say, is this guy mad? This is a natural, a product from God, But there it is working. And why is it working? Because, the Philippines is so much in the enclave, which is disaster prone. We were informed that they are exposed to up to 18 typhoons every year. And 8 of those are very serious. You remember the recent one, which killed, was it? Yeah, just last week, 6 people. But the recent one, which was so devastating, I don't know the statistics, but I think over 20,000 people died. So, and that gives a strong basis for the Matthew Group and Weather Philippines Foundation to have a private sector approach. So there is what they call the PAGASA, which is the equivalent of the National Meteorology Services in our countries, the conventional ones, but because their capacity is not enough to provide weather products to service the whole country, so the Matthew Group and Weather Philippines have come in to fill the gap. And what are they doing specifically? They have technologies that they have adopted from Europe, and these are weather stations at the rate of about $2,500 per unit. And locally within the Philippines, they are manufacturing the weather, the data loggers, which is costed at about $600. So the complete set, we could estimate at about $5,000 to have a complete station that is functional. Now, they have this up to 750 automatic weather stations that have been installed throughout the country, compared to about 150 of the government. So this company has a good network to collect, nowcasting data, which the big companies, private companies, you're talking of the Marines, the aviation, are ready to buy. Because should any disaster happen, they stand to lose most. So they pay for it. And even they sponsor, installation of weather stations across the country. So in terms of systems, they're using modern systems. They're very lean stuff, but effective, in analyzing data that is coming from that stations. And they have their websites. But let me ask my colleagues to chip in.
Chibesa, tell us what was the main message you brought back, and how can it apply to our context and our projects?
So there were 2 things that stood out to me. One was that the Philippines has provided the evidence that lower cost automatic weather stations are just as effective as the normal $20,000 to $40,000 stations that we tend to buy in Africa. So I think that is a message that we need to carry to our home countries and to all of the CIRDA participating countries as well. The second thing is the really effective and sustainable use of corporate social responsibility. These corporate entities that have come together to put up the Weather Philippines Foundation are using their CSR budgets to procure these weather stations, and they're running the whole system in partnership with a private weather company, which is Meteor Group. Now the way it works is that the general public gets access to better weather information because there is a website that provides weather data that is updated on an hourly basis. But then the private weather company also makes money because they're able to sell to entities such as aviation, as Pascal has mentioned, that would need data on a more frequent basis than that, that's updated even every 10 minutes. So this is an arrangement that is benefiting both the general public and the private sector. Of course, in our countries, we might not want to go the route of establishing a separate foundation that seems to be running, in competition with the National Weather Service, but we can take the lesson of using corporate social responsibility to support our national med services.
Sure. Alfei, a few thoughts?
Yeah, to me, it was very interesting. Yeah, first of all, the inclusion of the private sector, the Metro Group, and the way how they are working with the Philippine, weather foundations. 40% of the expertise from the Metro Group is supporting the Philippine, and foundations. And the second thing is the recognitions from the government institutions that the weather Philippine foundations are providing very localized information. We went to Pagasa and we were trying just to compare. Pagasa, they're just providing the general weather foundation, but for the information of the Metro Group and the weather foundation, they were able to get the localized weather, weather information. And this was recognized at the government level. So, we're just trying to figure out how are we going to use the people experience to support our Tanzania meteorologists, and the way how the Tanzania meteorologists is going to benefit in terms of getting the resources, to support the coverage, the expanding of the coverage of the country modeling in the country. So the issue of the cost effective, just imagine 2,500 USD is enough to install a complete set of automatic weather stations. And in my country, it goes up to 15,000 USD dollars. So if we use the support or the funding we have at the point level, and using the FP experience, these funds will be able to support the coverage. We must be covering maybe 3/4 of the country. Yeah, this is what I learned, and we'll be discussing with the Tanzania to see how it will fit in. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Chibesa, you stay here. It's your turn next. Okay. And thanks for the sharing.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'll give you the presentation on the CIRDA project in Zambia. Please skip already to the next slide. Okay. So after introducing our team, I'll tell you a bit about the agencies that are involved in the project in Zambia, the progress in terms of implementation, the challenges, a little bit about challenges perhaps, and then future plans for the rest of this year and 2016. So the team representing Zambia here today are Mr. Mfutem Kelabai, who is our principal meteorologist for applied services at the Zambia Meteorological Department. If you could just wave. Okay. And then Mr. Chongo Simpasa, who is the program associate in the environment unit at UNDP Zambia. And myself, Chibesa Pensula, I'm the project manager for this project. If we look at the structure here, it shows us the key agencies that are taking part in the project. These are the ones highlighted in purple. But the main implementing partner there is the Zambia Meteorological Department, and the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit also is responsible for about 1/3 of the project activities. So I won't talk about all the 6 partners that you see highlighted there. I'll just talk about the 2 main ones. Okay, so the Zambia Met Department currently has about 150 staff. It operates a network of 39 manned manual weather stations and 31 automatic weather stations. It's a government department under the Ministry of Transport, Works, Supply and Communication. As yet, there is no plan to convert that to an agency, but there are plans to allow the department to be able to generate its own revenue. And ZMD provides these products and services. We have a seasonal weather forecast that is issued in September. It's based on a regional forecast that is done in coordination with the whole Southern African community. There's a 7-day weather forecast issued on Mondays and Fridays. There's a evening weather forecast issued daily on radio and television. There's a 10-day crop weather bulletin that's issued every 10 days during the rainy season. Aviation forecasts are issued daily. We have a climate data bank service that provides information on demand. And then technical reports and publications are issued on an ad hoc basis. Severe weather warnings are also issued to the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit when necessary. DMMU, the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, is under the Office of the Vice President, so it's quite a high-profile unit. It's very effective at coordinating government departments in terms of disaster response. And it coordinates these disaster management committees at national, provincial, district, and in some cases, community level. And these committees are made up of representatives of government departments at the higher level, and at the lower levels they include local NGOs as well. The DMMU does not have any meteorological or hydrological monitoring infrastructure of its own, so it's dependent on the Zambia Met Department and the Department of Water Affairs. And it practices disaster response rather than disaster risk reduction. So to borrow a phrase from Tomé yesterday, they are reactive rather than proactive, unfortunately. That is the situation that we need to address. So in terms of implementation of the project, I just want to go through a few key areas, and the first of those is training. Right at the beginning of the project, we procured 30 computers, 10 document senders, 2 servers for the department, and so there was a need to train the users of that equipment, and so we held a computer training course for them in December. We also had a 2-week refresher course for 22 of the staff that are managing these automatic weather stations, as well as 8 staff from the Ministry of Agric and Livestock who have also been taking care of weather stations but had not had any training in doing so. That was a 2-week course held in December as well. Then when we did our national baseline survey on climate information and early warning systems, we wanted to make use of the meteorological staff within the department so that they get some experience in interacting with the local community, and so that they would also hear firsthand, how successful are they, how much of an impact is the department making. And so we trained 20 members of staff to be enumerators for that survey, and that was done in April, and the survey itself took place in May. We've also sponsored 12 of the meteorological officers from the department onto a diploma program so that they can be raised to weather forecasters. So those 12 staff are on training for this year and the coming 2 years. And starting next month, we will also have 4 staff going to study a new diploma program in climatology at one of our public universities, and that will raise them from forecasters to climatologists. The second area is the establishment of a national task team. We wanted to have a structure that brings together the project partners in addition to civil society and any other interested stakeholders. So we've had 2 meetings so far, and the third one is scheduled for next week. We wanted all of the partners to have equal participation in developing the work plan for the project. So our first meeting was on developing the 2015 work plan. The second meeting was to conduct a review of the project activities and outputs as they're stated in the PRODOC. The project document was written perhaps 3 years ago and needed to be updated, and so we did that. And we had also by then prepared the questionnaires for the baseline survey, and so the National Task Team reviewed those questionnaires. In our meeting next week, we will be hearing from the baseline study consultants on the findings from the survey, as well as the newly developed MND framework for the project. On private sector engagement, so far we have met with 2 of the 3 mobile network operators in Zambia to initialize discussions around weather information dissemination and hosting of weather sensors on telecoms towers. The response was positive, but we need to take this discussion further. We've also met with 2 insurance companies that Anthony Mills had met with during a previous study that he undertook in Zambia. I unfortunately didn't meet the exact same individuals that he met, but they have expressed interest in taking this idea forward as well. And then, as you've just heard, I took part in the visit to Meteor Group and Weather Philippines a couple of weeks ago, and would like to take particularly the CSR lesson and the lesson on using lower cost automatic weather services and apply those in Zambia. The baseline study that I've spoken a little bit about involved quite a range of activities. I've mentioned the review of the activities and outputs in the project document. We also did a household survey in 30 districts. That was 3 districts per province. We also interviewed the district disaster management committees in 10 weather sensitive or weather vulnerable districts in the country, 1 per province. We also interviewed the provincial disaster management committees in 9 provinces except Lusaka. Unfortunately, our capital region does not yet have a provincial disaster management committee. Perhaps that's because the national committee is based there. So there's been no need so far to establish a provincial one. We also surveyed 8 companies in a variety of sectors: mining, energy, construction, insurance, agribusiness, to understand really what their needs are in terms of weather and climate information and how well those needs are currently being met and what improvements they'd like to see. So all of that information will come through in the baseline study report. And then we repeated the capacity assessment of the main partners, ZMD and DMMU, and all of that will come together in the report that we'll be presenting next week. On communication, we've issued our first brochure. I have copies of it if anyone would like to have some. But we've also recently selected a communications consultant who will help us with drafting a communication strategy for ZMD, as well as an action plan so that we can get rolling with our communications outreach to the general public. We'd also want them to conduct training for, further training for the meteorological officers in community engagement so that they step up from just reading the instruments and transmitting the data to the headquarters to actually being a local source of weather information within their communities. We'd want to do some more brochures in English and in the local languages, particularly in the languages of the 3 pilot districts for the project. And we want to do some advocacy meetings as well with Parliament and with the House of Chiefs. We have a national body where all chiefs participate, and we want them to also have access to information on weather and climate and also be aware of what this project is aiming to achieve. In addition to that, we intend to carry out national climate outlook forums in the capital city and in the 3 early warning system pilot districts. On procurement, we have selected a supplier for instruments that we need to replace at the 39 manual stations. For the past 2 months, we've been waiting for approval for that payment, so we hope that comes through soon. Once the payment is issued, we've been promised that within the 14 weeks we'll have the instruments in Zambia and be able to start installing them. And for the automatic weather stations, we are making use of an LTA that was established between the World Food Programme and ADCON Telemetry. My colleague, Mr. Mkelabai, will tell you more about that in a later presentation. But we're expecting those to be on the ground 12 weeks from now. Future plans. Of course, with the weather stations coming in so soon, we need to prepare the sites. So it's about concrete works for the footings, it's fencing, it's security, it's power. All of that has to be put into place in a rather short time frame. We do still want to pursue a PPP with at least 1 mobile company. And this is an area where we may need more involvement from the CIRDA team, because we are very keen, of course, on information dissemination by mobile phone, but I don't think we have yet really agreed on the issue of hosting sensors on towers. So this is something we need to have more dialogue over. Again, on the next point, procuring the remaining technical components of the early warning system. We started up that discussion with Jeremy Usher when he visited in March, but still there, I think there's need for further discussion on what exactly we should put in. There were views that perhaps the upper air sounding system is not necessary. There were views that a lightning detection network might be more beneficial, but we need to come to final agreement on that as soon as we can, and for that we really do need support from the CIRDA team. We also aim to modernize the forecasting center, and that's part of the reason why we are very keen on visiting other forecasting centers. So this visit to the Philippines was very useful, and in 2 weeks' time we're visiting our colleagues in Tanzania as well. So we want to visit some better performing departments or agencies and see what they have in place and how we need to improve at ZMD. The development of tailored weather and climate products is also of keen interest. And we want to enhance our engagement with all end users of weather and climate information in Zambia through the communications campaign that will be starting up next month and beyond. Okay, and I will end there. Thank you.
A big congratulations to Chibesa. You've done a wonderful job in a short time. And really, I'm impressed. It's been very, very good. Any questions for Zambia? Yes, Aki?
Thank you. Just one question about task force team that you have set up to enhance the collaboration. Is it just during the project, or is it continue after the project? Or who are the members, if I could know more about it? Very interested. Thank you.
Well, our hope would be that it continues after the project ends, but you asked who the members are. It's the Met Department, Department of Water Affairs, the Environment and Natural Resource Management Department, civil society organizations such as the Zambia Climate Change Network. It's a network of all climate change NGOs in the country. The Central Statistics Office also participates in that. So it's about really bringing together all the minds around climate change in Zambia and making sure that they have an input into how weather and climate services in Zambia develop. So I think it's beyond the project itself. It's something that we would hope would continue.
Thank you very much. I think the Zambian experience is quite good. But my question or comment just goes to all the project managers. That throughout the presentation, very little has been said about M&E. So I really don't know how that is handled. And then secondly, yesterday there was a lot of discussion about the sustainability issues. And I think that one also has not really come out very well. I don't know what the project teams are really looking at in terms of that.
If you'd like to comment afterwards, that's fine. But in terms of M&E, we do not yet have a clear framework in place, and that's why we engaged a consultant to help us to develop that. Unfortunately, I do not yet have the documentation of that, but we will be receiving it next week. As for sustainability, I think the whole reason why we're looking at public-private partnerships and corporate social responsibility is that we want to be able to bring resources directly into the Met departments to enable them to sustain their services and enable them to sustain their infrastructure.
So perfect on sustainability. On monitoring and evaluation, I'll just add that built into the system of UNDP is a very thorough and robust monitoring and evaluation system. And these projects are not going to be escaping that. So I encourage project managers and the government to continue to work on their M&E and make it a regular system. But please remember that UNDP is sitting at the quality assurance and will ensure that their basic system of M&E is implemented. So that will take care of that for sure. I think.
Okay, merci. Thank you very much. I will try to speak in English. I will do the presentation of South University. I was not supposed to be the one to do it, but I'm the only representative of the country here. Then I will try to present what is in the slides. We will have an introduction, talk about key implementing agencies, update on activities of project, future plans and opportunities. Hopefully I will remember because I'm coming from holiday. I have to remember now project activities again. Sao Tomé and Príncipe is a small island. It's a very small, 1,000 kilometers square, about 200,000 inhabitants. We are in the Central Africa. We are not in Asia. We are in Central Africa. As every small island, okay, as every small island, it's very vulnerable to climate change, flash floods, severe storms, agriculture, fishery are sectors that are most affected by those events. The country is exposed to natural hazards. The country is poor. More than 50% normally of the population live below the poverty rate. And as the UNDP used to classify a country, it's about 142 out of 187. That's back to 2013, but it's a country where more than 60% of the population has less than 25 years old. It's a very young country then. The country has very limited capacity to manage risk of disaster. As a country, the government has that willingness to try to tackle these issues, and that's why they accepted to be part of this initiative of the CIRDA project. Here, it's a presentation of key institutions that are involved in this project in Sao Tomé and Príncipe. We have two ministries, the one of Infrastructure, Natural Resources and Environment, and the Internal Affairs. On the side of Infrastructure, Natural Resources and Environment, we have the Directorate of Environment, the Meteo Institute, and the General Directorate of Natural Resources and Energy. Under each department, at the environmental level, the project is working with the Ecological Observatory. For those who remember the AAP project, under that project, the observatory was created in Sao Tomé, and actually the observatory is assisting the EW's project to do the mapping of different interventions in the country. The General Directorate of Environment have a Department of Water, Geology, and Energy. And then we have, at the level of Ministry of Internal Affairs, the COMPREC, which is the National Council for Preparation and Response to Natural Disasters. And under this institution, there are different representatives of civil protection, Red Cross, firefighters, agriculture. The list is not complete here. Those are the key partners which are involved in implementing activities of EWS in Sao Tomé and Príncipe. The National Institute of Meteorology was created in 1950s. Actually, it's very limited. I don't remember, I think it was Mark who was in Sao Tomé. They are about 6 staff only. Most of them are involved in other projects, and they need to train more people to help them to do the work they're supposed to do. The institution is still depending on the state budget, even though it was given the status of being financially autonomous, but they don't have means to have that financial capacity. And actually, the only customer, which is the aviation company, they are trying to have a new MOU to see if they can review the costs, how much they will pay them, that they can have more money. In the list of equipment, that whatever they have. 2 synoptic stations, 7 automatic, 16 classic, and 7 red gauges. And when we are speaking about having a proper EWS system, it's better to improve it. That's why the project is welcome in the country and will help a lot. The General Director of Natural Resources and Energy, for them is more about natural resources management, water policy in the country, geology and other sectors. At a level as well, in the context of EWS, they will be looking at the hydrology side, and as you can notice in the slide, they only have one hydrological station, which is not working. That means they have nothing. The Environment Directorate, as I said, through this department, which is in charge of environmental policy in the country, it's the observatory, which is used in the context of the project, which is helping to do the mapping of different interventions, and the service are being requested by the government many times in order to make them to have a clear understanding of the intervention of different institutions in the country. And then we have another partner, which is the COMPREG, that the National Council for Preparedness and Response to Disaster. It was created under the AAP project in 2011, and actually it's the one playing a key role in the context of this project, EWS in Sao Tomé and Príncipe. Every disaster-related issue in the country is with them, and they have that coordination role in the country through these 2 platforms. That means COMPREG is central for the monitoring and warning and response and dissemination, that they have to organize this platform in the context of the project. There are various institutions involved in each platform, and they are assuring the coordination of all of them. That means the COMPREG has a very big role to play in this project. If we talk about the high-level contribution of implementing partner, we will talk about the initiative of the cadre in the country. Recently, the government requested intervention of cadre because of the work that last year the project EWS did in the country, work of awareness, sensitization, information, and they just realized that there was a big need in the country to do a big assessment about the capacity of the country in terms of managing disasters. And therefore, a request was made by the government through the project at the Meteorology Institute and the COMPREG to see if it was possible to bring the cadre team in the country. And the cadre team came, and actually they are doing an assessment. They did an assessment to identify gaps and the need to reduce the risk of disaster in the country and how to prepare the country to be ready just in case of any situation. And actually, they have already been there twice, 2 missions. The report has been presented, and the last stage is to present a framework of action, which will be validated at national level probably next month. Then this exercise has allowed the country to bring many stakeholders together and discuss the issue of disaster risk management in the country. Also high contribution is the multi-ministerial steering committee. Actually, what has been created in the context of this EWS project is that the Ministry of Infrastructure, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and the Ministry of Agriculture, they came together. We do a common steering committee. All of them come together with UNDP and other partners in the project to do a meeting every 3 months. That's where all decisions are taken, coordinated intervention at district level, and as well the National Audit Office of the government is involved. And this has been a good point because actually in the side of appropriating activities and the sustainability of intervention, we can see a very clear impact. And we have seen as well that they have been coordinating the establishment of local committees in different communities. As well as there is a very clear engagement of the government, the private sector is now willing to do more in terms of social responsibility, because the work that CIRDA came to do has demonstrated that it was possible for banks and other private sector companies to be involved in managing risk of disaster in the country. Here, another implementation process which is helping a lot the EWS in Sao Tomé to attain that good result, because at the high level implementation side. We have here a very simple response to a recurrent problem that we've been facing, which was the delivery and appropriation. Most of the time, the delivery rate was low because they always need, incentives to do the work. And then what has been designed is to see how the implementation of activities was brought down to district level, that municipalities became responsible of implementing activities. Then the UNDP country team and the project team support the district in implementing activities of the project, and the national implementing partner became technical partners of the project. They do technical supervision to assist the district to implement. And the districts, when they have difficulties, they have the Council of Presidents of Municipalities to sort out the issue. If they cannot take the decision at this level, and it comes up to the higher level where the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Infrastructure and Natural Resources Environment, and Internal Affairs come together to sort the issue out. This is one of the managing implementation process which is helping a lot the realization of the project in Sao Tomé. On the social side, it's important to know that there is a big fishery and farmers community in Sao Tomé, and they try to have data from the meteorology office, depend on those information to allow them to see if the activity can move forward or not. And actually, on the coastal side, hopefully that we will share with you also a report and document that the coastal side, what's happening is that they are suffering a lot from flooding, and actually as they have built houses in places where the sea wants his space back, and actually we are trying to convince them to move from there. And actually many of them have accepted and have understood the responsibility to move, the necessity to move from where they are to go to other places. Awareness at local and national levels has helped a lot in order to have more people involved in the work to do. Capacity building at different levels, at community level, at institutional level, and resource mobilization. I would talk again about the CIRDA mission, which has allowed an implication and involvement of many stakeholders, and most of them have allocated some amount of money to participate to the different initiatives that the framework for disaster risk reduction in the country has presented. Socially as well, because of awareness and activities of the project, vulnerable communities of fishermen have now more knowledge about how to organize themselves, how to have other initiatives that will bring them money and possibility to adapt to climate change. The community resilience development process is through what is being said. I think in the next slide I will talk about it, that where local communities have been formed in those different communities, and they are helping a lot to give information to different people in the different communities, and this is permitting them to have a better attitude, change of behavior, change of attitude, knowing where to build their houses and when to go for fishing and when not to go. Because in the past years, many people have disappeared in the sea because of this reason. We can see that there is a development of national awareness, as I said, appropriation and sustainability of intervention, and the development of social responsibility of economic actors in the country. Activities update. In Sao Tomé, the international tender process for equipment acquisition was finalized since last year. It's a Spanish company that is providing the material and the different equipment. Activity of capacity building for technical institutions were organized. Training of district staff at new modalities based on the slide I've presented, because the staff from district has to be trained in how to manage project with the UNDP new modality. The technical committee and steering committee were established. The communication strategy was published, and different material of sensitization for the EWS. The baseline study for all hydromet stations in the country was done. Site identification, selection, qualification and preparation, partnership with the telecom companies. There are only 2 in the country. They have been established. Procurement for lighting detector and the SADI system is in process. The training program for meteorologists and hydrologists abroad, and actually in September, 4 meteorologists are starting in the University of Aveiro in Portugal, and 4 hydrologists in Portugal as well. Journalists were trained on journalism and environmental issues, mainly to explain to them the disaster risk management aspect, how they can introduce in the different publication issues related to disaster risk management. Local committees for disaster risk reduction. Here is a presentation of these different committees. The point is that in those communities, it was necessary to select a number of people that will be responsible of informing the population, of informing the local authorities, or informing the complex in the city what's happening at local level. And those different committees were created in 24 communities. And capacity building activity for community leaders, and the community radio were rehabilitated. Here we have an idea about the way the budget was used last year and up to June this year. Last year, with 1,060,000 budget, we used about 96%, for the reason that we finished the tender process with the company, and we were able to advance with them on the acquisition of the material. This year, up to June this year, 50% of the budget was already used, and actually with the upcoming send-off of students to Lisbon, I'm quite sure that by this time the amount used might be higher now. What are the future plans? Is to make the complex very operational with the installation of the equipment. The two platforms I presented earlier is to permit that all institutions involved in those two platforms will be able to work together and attain results together. They are planned to create a national network of fire brigade and coastal guard. Actually, the project has brought a common communication system to allow the fire brigade and the coastal guard and the complex to have the same system which they can communicate. If people get lost in the sea, the coastal guard will be aware, and if it's on the land, the fire brigade and the complex will do the work. The creation of a national network for local communities. The idea is to make sure that every community has this type of team. Organization and development of disaster risk reduction policy, which is not yet in the country, as we know that in case that we need any humanitarian intervention in the country, there is no proper policy, then the country need to have it, and the country need to have an emergency stock. The desire of strengthening the national DRR communication system for the Center of Operation and Emergency, which is in the country. And as well, to acquire means for implementation of the CIRDA report and a framework of action. Opportunities. There are many opportunities because of the EWS project in the country, the engagement of local community. They have accepted, they understand now, which was a big issue when you were telling them, your house is not well located, you are by the sea, you have to move from here. They were saying that they will not, but actually they understood it and they are willing to move. Possibility as well to do a partnership with private sector. As I said, bankers, assurance company, during the assessment exercise, they have expressed their willingness to be involved in terms of social responsibility. There is a move in the country where all of DRR-related projects are trying to mainstream in order to do joint activities. We have the case with the World Bank actually in Sao Tomé, where UNDP and World Bank are coming together through the EWS project and the Coastal Zone project in STP to do together some activities which are DRR related. A possibility as well to create a national emergency fund for sustainability of this intervention. As we know, after a project it's difficult to continue, but now the desire is to have that emergency fund created. Possibility of having the South-South collaboration. We had it with the journalists that were trained by Brazilians, and actually if Cosme, the project manager, is not around because he's in his way to Mozambique, he's going to visit the INGC to learn how they are doing with the management of platforms. And as well, there is an opportunity for funds mobilization as the CIRDA frame of action is presenting more possibility to have more projects and more intervention to do in vulnerable communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurent. Any questions for Sao Tomé?
Just a quick observation. I really have to compliment you on going directly to the heart of our interest in helping people. And hearing that emphasis throughout your presentation was really very encouraging, even exciting. And in some respects, I would say you guys are ahead of what we're doing in the United States. So you're really to be complimented. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think we've come to the end of this very, very useful session of sharing updates on projects. And I will hand over the floor to John. And I think we're going to start with 20 minutes extra time, our panel discussion and exchanges.
Yeah, if the panelists want to come up, Bonnie, you're going to chair or facilitate. You want to grab your jacket there so we have the chair. And what we'll do this for about an hour. We want feedback.